A southern tour by Xi Jinping rolled out three big moves in a row: boarding the Fujian aircraft carrier, honoring Yi Jianying, and opening the national games. The long-absent Zhang Youxia reappeared. Peng Liyuan made a high-profile return after skipping APEC, and the entire sequence felt like a power stabilization showcase. From "I am the Party Central" to "under the leadership of the Party Central," this subtle shift is being read as a signal that Xi's tone on power is changing. Who is falling back in line, who is signaling power, and who is waiting to see? Zhang Nanhai's post-autumn act has only just begun. Don't miss the next drop, subscribe and hit the bell. One shot shook all of Zhang Nanhai. Xi Jinping appeared with Peng Liyuan at the opening ceremony of the National Games in Guangzhou. The First Lady, who had dropped out of APEC at the last minute, now returned to the stage. In the seats below sat a row of heavyweights: Wang Yi, He Lifeng, Li Hongzhong, Wang Xiaohong, and the military's number 2, Zhang Youxia, who had not shared a frame with Xi for some time. Keep in mind, the last time he and Xi appeared side by side was 2 months ago at Beijing's 80th anniversary of the War of Resistance commemoration. Although Zhang Youxia had continued to attend internal military meetings, this was the first time since then that he appeared at the same public event as Xi. Now he is back at the focal point of the cameras, seated at Xi's side. The outside world immediately interpreted it: is this a symbol of stabilized control over the military, or Xi's deliberate staging of a unity tableau? What's more, just before the National Games, Xi made a special detour to Meizhou to lay flowers at the Yi Jianying Memorial Garden. On the surface it was about remembering the elders. In reality it felt like a political proclamation: the red orthodoxy is still in my hands. But there was something different in this speech. Where he used to say, "I am the Party Central," this time it became "under the leadership of the Party Central." A combo of Southern tour plus pilgrimage plus National Games appearance looked calm on the surface but churned with undercurrents. Who is returning to the fold, who is signaling power, and who is waiting and watching? This post-autumn drama in Zhongnanhai has only just opened. From carrier to National Games, Xi Jinping's three axes. On this southern tour, Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping chose events tailor-made for CCTV headlines. First in Sanya, Hainan, he personally stepped onto the deck of the Fujian, delivered a speech at a flag presentation ceremony, and was broadcast live, standing steady at the center of the deck in every shot. He then gathered Hainan officials to hear a briefing on the construction of the Hainan Free Trade Port. Next, he rushed to Guangzhou, making a deliberate detour to the Yi Jianying Memorial Garden in Meizhou. On the evening of November 9th, at the opening of the 15th National Games, Xi Jinping walked onto the rostrum with his wife Peng Liyuan and personally declared the games open. The opening ceremony's specifications were anything but modest. According to Xinhua, this edition of the National Games is jointly hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau, the first cross-administrative region version in history, bringing all three into the frame. The scene was thick with political overtones. She stressed that constructing the Hainan Free Trade Port is a major decision made by the Party Central, and that thought and action must be unified with the decisions and deployments of the Party Central. The phrase Party Central became the keyword of this southern tour. The escort list at the opening ceremony also looked quite stable: Foreign Minister Wang Yi, CPPCC Vice Chair Li Hongzhong, Vice Premier He Lifeng, Central Military Commission Vice Chair Zhang Youxia, Public Security Minister Wang Xiaohong, State Councilor and ACWF, All China Women's Federation, Chair Xin Yiqin, and CPPCC Vice Chair and Secretary General Wang Dongfeng, an apparently tidy lineup with a normal rhythm. What's sensitive here is the same frame image. The military's number 2, Zhang Youxia, had been absent from major public events for a while. According to Intelligence Online, although Zhang Youxia is among the Red second-generation generals Xi trusts most, recent military purges have swept up many top figures in the rocket force and the equipment system, leading to outside speculation that his practical authority might have been weakened. His appearance in Guangzhou alongside Xi is thus seen as a visual declaration of military power stability. Put simply, I, Zhang Youxia, am still here. Xi's CMC system remains in my hands. Another person captured by the cameras was Peng Liyuan. This time she wore a deep blue coat and looked composed, different from the high-profile style of her past diplomatic occasions. Bear in mind, at last month's APEC summit in South Korea, Peng Liyuan had originally been on the delegation's accompanying list but then vanished at the last minute. South Korea's chosen elbow bluntly noted her name was removed from the official list at the final moment. Her sudden appearance on the rostrum in Guangzhou is being read as a return to the fold. Some believe this is a signal that after internal and external pressures, she is reconsolidating the family and image front. Others say it's about strengthening the leader and its spouse's image before the domestic audience to shore up internal confidence. But what stirred the most discussion was that stop at the Yi Jianying Memorial. Xi Jinping lays flowers and inscribes at the Yi Jianying Memorial Garden. On the afternoon of November 7th, Xi Jinping took time to go in person to the Yi Jianying Memorial Garden, presenting a flower basket to Ye's bronze statue, bowing, touring the exhibits of Ye's life, and then visiting Ye's former residence. Yi Jianying was born here on April 28, 1897, and spent his childhood and youth here. While touring, she said, "The great achievements we have today were all built on the foundation of the country that Mao Zedong and the older generation of revolutionaries fought for and the family assets they accumulated. We must tell well the stories of that older generation, guide officials and the masses, especially the youth, to inherit the red genes, carry forward the red bloodline, always listen to the party, and follow the party." This Meizhou visit by Xi may look like a routine commemoration, but in substance it felt more like a political counteroffensive show. Don't be fooled by the laying of flowers, the touring, and the familiar lines about always listening to and following the party. Behind it lies a signal to the outside: I remain the legitimate representative of the party central. For a long time, there have been rumors of factionalism within the party, of swelling undercurrents of power, and of Xi being sidelined. Clearly, the core has no intention of stepping aside and is now mounting a full counterattack. By visiting Yi Jianying, the elder of elders, and loudly invoking the country fought for by Mao Zedong and the older generation, she is borrowing the names of Mao and Yi to play his political card. The red bloodline and the orthodoxy of the party central remain firmly in his grip. He is telling the party and the public that the left-turn path he is on is the true red orthodoxy, the legitimate lineage of the state. This pilgrimage to Yi was an especially tight hold on the thigh of the revolutionaries, inviting speculation that he is also extending an olive branch to the red second generation. According to independent commentator Kai Shinkuan, more than 200 red second-generation figures recently jointly petitioned Xi, urging him to improve the succession system and preserve the regime's bloodline. In plain terms, they're advising Xi not to crash the ship, because their wealth and status are tied to this red vessel. If it capsizes, they all go down. Thus, this trip can also be read as a carefully staged Renew Power show, intended to add chips to his bid to keep governing. Whether the move works depends on internal party wins and the mandate of heaven. The bond between the Yi and Xi families. Another reading of Xi's tribute to Yi Jianying is gratitude for favors past. Yi and Xi Zhongshuan, Xi's father, had a close relationship. Party history articles have noted that in 1962, Xi Zhongshuan, then a vice premier, was investigated and sent down over the Liu Zhidong anti-party novel case. After the Cultural Revolution, Yi Jianying, then CCP vice chair and CMC vice chair, firmly supported rehabilitating Xi Zhongshuan. According to recollections published by state media, Yi Jianying was the first among top leaders in office to receive Xi Zhongshuan after his organizational life was restored. After Xi was rehabilitated, Yi recommended him to govern his own home province of Guangdong, including backing Xi Zhongshuan's creation of special economic zones. Radio Free Asia's Night Talk in Zhongnanhai column has written that Yi and Xi Zhongshuan had mapped out political paths for each other's eldest sons. In early 1979, the year after Xi Zhongshuan arrived in Guangdong, Xi Jinping faced assignment upon graduation from Tsinghua's worker-peasant soldier class. Under policy, he should return to where he came from, meaning back to his native Shaanxi. After Yi Jianying learned of this, he asked his son Yi Xining to contact his old subordinate, Geng Biao. Geng, then a vice premier and later concurrently a CMC standing committee member and secretary general, handled the CMC's daily work. He not only kept Xi Jinping in Beijing, but arranged for him to enter the State Council General Office as his secretary. Later Xi followed Geng into the CMC, directly becoming an active duty officer at the regimental level. Yi Jianying liked to send his children to train in the military. He said that since Xi had been tempered in the countryside and finished university, he should quickly make up for the military training piece. Later, during the selection for a general secretary successor, Xi's 3 years of active military service indeed gave him a leg up. In that same year when she was arranged into the CMC, Xi Zhongshuan, just before he was transferred back to Beijing, used his authority as Guangdong's top leader to appoint Yi Jianying's eldest son, Yi Xianping, as vice governor and head of the Provincial Science Commission, paving the way for Yi to later dominate as governor, and then sit for 12 years as a national CPPCC vice chair, a vice state-level post, until retiring honorably at 80. Red aristocracy that controls the economic and political lifelines? Xi's trip may also have had another purpose. The overseas red second-generation figure Xianyang recently wrote on X that the Yi Jianying clan is the clearest example of today's red aristocratic family. Xi's trip is not only a pilgrimage to an old power family but also a salute to a deeply rooted, multi-generational red aristocratic bloc. By what virtue or ability does the Yi family sit astride China's foreign exchange, diplomacy, Hong Kong, imports and exports, intelligence, finance, shipping, and bulk trade lifelines? If any family deserves the title of iron-capped prince, it would be the Yi clan. But a crown worn too long is easy to forget. Xi's high-profile tribute in Meizhou felt like a reminder: the red aristocracy still stands. Reports note that Yi Jianying enjoyed the favor of Sun Yat-sen, Chiang Kai-shek, and Mao Zedong. After 1949, he served as one of the 10 marshals. After assisting Hua Guofeng, he helped Deng Xiaoping rise to the top. Yi long oversaw both state security and public security, essentially acting as the chief architect of intelligence and covert operations. He was close to the super spy Li Qinong. Disciples like Kong Yuan and Zhou Dapeng were his men. Their families and protégés, under the Yi family's protection, later occupied key positions across the CCP's power structure, forming thick foliage of Yi influence that holds the lifelines of red capital and power. Yi's late eldest son, Yi Xianping, served as mayor of Guangzhou and governor of Guangdong and sat as a national CPPCC vice chair for 12 years, a vice state-level figure alongside Li Ruihuan, only stepping down at 80. Yi's wife, Wu Xiaolan, once a Shenzhen vice mayor, long controlled the land, medical, and debt systems there. Her father, Wu Yuzhong, was one of Yinnan's 5 elders and once the president of Renmin University. Yi's eldest daughter, Yi Chumei, married Zhou Jiahua, son of former vice premier Zhou Taofen. Since 1949, the Zhou family has managed diplomacy, personnel, and heavy industry import-export, core to the red elite. The marriage was a political alliance, extending Yi influence further into the state council and the foreign trade system. Yi, known as the Marshal of Flowers, had over a dozen women accompany him through life. One wife, Xing Xianji, had an eminent lineage, descended from Xing Guofan's brother Xing Guoquan, and was among the first female cadets at Whampoa Military Academy, later serving as ACWF chair. She had both pedigree and political standing. This marriage allied the Yi family with a renowned Hunan line, further expanding its influence. Their son, Yi Xianing, had the reputation of spiritual leader of the princelings, with towering prestige. On paper he worked with the State Council's Overseas Chinese Affairs Office. In practice he wielded power over the behemoths Polly and Kelly. A shrewd operator spanning finance and arms, he epitomized red capital. Rumors say he used the alias Yufeng and served as one of the chiefs of the CCP's 3 major intelligence and covert action organs, masterminding on the clandestine front and reportedly acting as an important ally of the Qingyun clan. After she came to power in 2012, Yi Xianing is said to have handed over to him the biggest trove of his life: lists of undercover operatives cultivated worldwide for years, as well as proof of private overseas deposits of leaders at the standing committee level across eras. This, it is said, helped greatly boost Xi's prestige in the party and was a key reason he subdued party elders. Yi's third son, Yi Xuanlian, served as head of the Kelly Group under Polly, as well as chairman or president of multiple enterprises. The Yi family's third generation is also deeply rooted. Yi Xuanping's son Yi Xinfu is now president of Hong Kong's Monxin Securities, specializing in offshore finance and placements for children of senior CCP cadres, and is involved in the Southern Gulf and real estate circles of Hong Kong, virtually a treasurer for the red nobility. Another third-generation member, Yi Zhonghao, has simultaneously served as director of the Guangzhou Development Zone while operating businesses in international transport and real estate. Overall, the Yi clan status in the CCP system is special and enduring. The Yi imprint is visible everywhere from military industry to finance, intelligence to diplomacy. The family's bloodline and power continue, no wonder she went to pay homage. Up Party Central above Xi's head? On Xi's trip south to Hainan and Guangdong, his remarks had an unusual flavor of power, almost as if there were now a Party Central above his head. According to mainland media, on November 6 in Sanya, Hainan, she stressed while hearing a work report, building the Hainan Free Trade Port is a major decision made by the Party Central, and that under the centralized and unified leadership of the Party Central, we must fully achieve the goals of the Hainan Free Trade Port. On November 7 in Guangzhou, while hearing briefings from senior officials, she again stressed, studying, and implementing the spirit of the plenary session is a major political task for the entire party and nation, and that we must truly unify our thinking and actions with the decisions and deployments of the party central. In the past, when we heard she speak, she as the sole paramount was tantamount to the party central. From I am the central to I am under the central, the turning point came around last July, before the third plenum, when rumors swirled that she had suffered a stroke. The signal of change seems to be this: where he once said I decide, it now sounds like they decide, I comply. And that party central may no longer refer solely to she himself. In other words, she the sole paramount is no longer singularly supreme. When someone who previously embodied the party central now has to invoke the party central to ballast himself, is true power still in Xi Jinping's hands?